Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if this is your first time on this channel, welcome. On this channel I post crochet tutorials, patterns and updates on whatever crochet projects I'm working on. So today I actually have a tutorial for you guys, and I think you can guess. It's for this slouchy beanie that I'm currently wearing. This beanie is super easy to do, super beginner friendly, plus it's really trendy right now. A lot of people are wearing it, a lot of people are making it. So if you would like to have one, or you'd like to make one for like your friends or your loved ones, then this is the tutorial that you need. Now for this tutorial we need just 3 things. You need your yarn, of course, you need your crochet hook, and then you need a stitch marker. Although you may not need to use the stitch marker, but you will understand when the tutorial starts. I also forgot to add that you need scissors. So here are my scissors. They're pretty small and cute, but for this tutorial I'm going to be using 3 colors. For the beanie on my head I actually just used 2 colors, which is black and gray. But for this tutorial we're going to use 3 colors. You can decide to use 1 color, 2 colors, 4 colors, as many colors as you like. But for the sake of this tutorial I'll use 3 colors because I want to make something similar to this, but just with a brighter color, which is why I chose cream. Now for today's video we're using Yeye yarn, and Yeye yarn is super easy to use. It is a 3-ply yarn that you can use with either a 3 or 3.5mm hook, but for today I'm using a 4.0mm hook because I'm going to use double strands. So I want the hat or the beanie to be thicker, so I'm going to be doubling the strands, and you'll see that in the video. So we're going to go ahead and start the tutorial. So this is the beanie when it's not being worn. This is what it looks like. If you know how to crochet a regular beanie, then this tutorial will be super simple for you. But even if you do not know how to crochet at all, you will still be able to follow along this tutorial. Now for this tutorial we're going to start with a magic circle. You can see it here, and then we're going to be making increases up to like here, up to here I think, and then we're going to stop increasing, and then we're just going to keep going round and round and round. But we're also going to, at the end of each round, we're going to make a slip stitch. If you look closely you would see where I made my slip stitches. At the end of each round we're going to make a slip stitch, then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to start a new row. And I need to add now that the chain 2 does not count as a stitch, but you will understand that as we go. So now let's get started. Like I said in the intro, we're going to be using 3 colors for this particular project and in this tutorial. Now the yarn I'm using, like I mentioned earlier, is called Yeye yarn, and here in Nigeria this is like the most affordable yarn for this quality. This is a really good quality yarn. There are more affordable yarns, but for this quality this is the most affordable, and it's really nice to use. It's really soothing, and this video is not sponsored by Yeye or anything. I just really like the yarn because you can use it to make really high quality items and projects and whatever. So in this tutorial we're going to be using these 3 colors. Now for the hook I'm using a 4.0mm hook because I'm going to be using double strands, and you might be wondering how I'm going to double the strands with just 1 ball of yarn, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So even if you're a complete beginner you would be able to follow along this tutorial. So in every yarn there's the side pull. That's when the yarn comes from the side. This is it. So we're going to need this side pull, and we're also going to need the center pull. So I'm going to look for where my yarn is loosest. I can't fit my finger in here, but I can easily fit my finger in here. So I just need to find that yarn and pull it out. But then we have to be really careful because this little ball here tangles really easily. Okay, so I found the end. Now like I said, we're also going to need the body. This is it. So one is coming from the body, one is coming from the center. So we're going to join these two together. So the reason I'm using 2 strands is so that my beanie can be very thick. But if you would like a lighter beanie, for instance, let's look at this regular beanie that I made. If you see it, it's pretty light and flimsy, and this was exactly how the customer wanted it. The customer in this situation being my brother, but he wanted it to be pretty light and soft, so I just used 1 strand of yarn. But for this one, I made this one for myself and I wanted it to be pretty thick. Plus I prefer my beanies to be thick so that they can retain their shape, which is why I'm using double strands of this yeye yarn. But if you're using a thicker yarn, remember yeye yarn is 3-ply, which is why I'm doubling the strand. But if you're using a thicker yarn, like a 5-ply yarn or so, you don't need to double the strands because the yarn is already thick on its own, if that makes sense. So let's get started. We're going to start with a magic circle. And to make a magic circle, you take your yarn, the shorter part of your yarn in your left hand, the longer part in your right hand, and then you just wrap around your fingers once. Then when you get to the back, you sort of make a little X. I don't know if you can see this X right here. Now this is the yarn that we need, so we're just going to take our hook, insert it in between here, then pull this yarn out. And then we're going to, still working with that X, we're going to still grab this one. It might be a little tricky for you to do, but we'll still grab this, and then we'll pull it out. And so once you're pulling it out, try to twist your arm, and there you have it, a magic circle. Now we're going to, and because to make the magic circle stay, we had to chain 1. During that X, we were chaining 1, so we already have 1 on our magic circle, but we need 2 chains to start our project. So we're going to chain 1 more. Now we already have our 2 chains. Now for this project, I'm sorry I keep referring to this one, but I'm going to have to refer to it so you can understand. For this one, I don't know if you can see this, but it's pretty wide, and when I was trying it on, I had, you know, a really full hair, but currently my hair is in twists, so it's not as full as it was. But when I was trying it and while I was making, my hair was really full, so I sort of made it a little bit too big. It's not so big, it's manageable for me, but I would have preferred it to be firmer. And to make it wide like this, I started by chaining 12 double crochets into the magic circle. But for this project, for this tutorial, we're going to chain 10. So 10 double crochets. For a double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook into your magic circle, yarn over and pull that out of the magic circle, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm working with black yarn, so you may not be able to see properly, but we're going to pull through 2, and then we'll pull through the next 2. And then we're just going to do 10 of that into this magic circle. I've already made 1. Now if you look closely, you'll see that the chain 2 stitch is right beside the double crochet, but this chain 2 stitch doesn't count as a stitch, so we only have 1 stitch inside this magic circle now, which is the double crochet. So we're going to make 9 more. So now we have 10 in total, and if we start counting from here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Now that we have 10, we're going to tighten this magic circle. So take your tail and pull, and then the magic circle is tightened. We're still going to tighten it some more so that we eliminate this tiny hole. But for now, we're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet. So just work your hook in there, pull it out, and then pull it out of that one. And then you have your very first row, and this is currently 10 double crochets inside the magic circle. Now we're going to chain 2 to start a new row. We always start a new row with chain 2, but this chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, so we're going to put, and now for this row we're going to be making increases. When you hear increases in crochet, that just means you are putting 2 double crochet into one stitch. So when they say make an increase, it just means put 2 double crochet into one stitch. So we're going to be making increases inside all of these stitches. That means we're going to put 2 double crochets into everything, and currently we have 10 stitches inside this magic circle, and if we put 2 double crochets inside everything, we're going to have 20 in total. So that's what we're going to do. So in this very first stitch that we put this chain 2, we're going to put 2 double crochets. Remember, this chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, so don't get confused. So we're going to put 2 double crochets in here. And now we're going to put 2 double crochets into every stitch around. So I'll meet you guys when I get to the end of this round. Now we're at the end of our round. This is round 2, but before we start round 3, let's just count how many we have. So this chain 2 doesn't count, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Perfect. So now to finish this round, we're going to slip stitch into the very first double crochet right here. So you just need to, the reason I'm having a little bit of an issue working into this is because I'm working with black yarn, but if you're working with a lighter colored yarn, it will be a lot easier to see what you're doing. And then we're going to slip stitch. Now that we've slip stitched, we're going to chain 2. Remember, always start a new row with chain 2. Now for this row we need to have 30 stitches in total. So for every row as we increase, we're going to be adding 10. So for instance, our very first row we added 10 stitches, 10 double crochets into the magic circle. For row 2 we have 20, for row 3 we should have 30, for row 4 we should have 40, for row 5 50, and so on until we stop increasing. So if we stop increasing at row 5, we're going to have 50 at row 5, we're going to have 50 at row 6, 50 at row 7, 50 at row 8. But if we decide to keep increasing, we'll make sure we always add 10. I hope that makes sense. So for this row we need to have 30, and we had 20 in the previous round, so we need to add 10. And how do we do that? We're going to interchange how we put the increases. For instance, in row 2 we added 2 double crochets into every stitch, which means every stitch had an increased stitch. But for this one we're going to make it every other stitch, and that means we'll put 1 double crochet here in the first one, then in the next one we'll put 2 double crochets, in the next one we'll put 1 double crochet, and then in the next one we'll put 2 double crochets. So that's how we'll keep doing it. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. So 1 here, increase, 1 increase, then 1 double crochet, increase, which means 2 in the next stitch, and then we'll just keep doing that until we get to the end of the round. 1 double crochet, increase in the next stitch, 1 double crochet, increase in the next stitch. So just keep doing this until you get to the end of the round. If you did it correctly, you should end your round with an increase. Remember we started with just a single double crochet in one stitch, so we're going to end it with an increase. Now to finish this round, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the very first double crochet right here. And now that we've slip stitched, we're going to start row 4, and for row 4 we need to have 40 double crochets. So to do that, first start by chaining 2. Now for this one, we're going to add 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, then an increase. So we're going to put 2 double crochets before the increase, and by 2 double crochets I don't mean 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Whenever I mean 2 double crochets in the same stitch, I'll call it an increase. So when I say 2 double crochets, I mean 1 double crochet in its own stitch, the next double crochet in its own stitch, then an increase. 1 double crochet in its own stitch, the next double crochet in its own stitch, then an increase. And then if you're doing it correctly, you will know, because all the increases will be on the same spot. So when you're making your increase, you should be making it into the last double crochet of the previous increase. Let me show you what I mean. So we're going to make 1 double crochet here, then here to make another double crochet, and in the next stitch we're going to make an increase. But where we want to add this increase, if you look at it clearly, the stitches below are also an increase. So if you look at it in this row 3, 2 of them are in the same stitch, which means they are an increase, and this is where we're putting our increase for this row. And we're going to do the same again. 1 double crochet, the next stitch 1 double crochet, and then in the third stitch 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And if you look down, you see that the previous row 2 was an increase stitch, they're in the same stitch, and here too we're going to put an increase. So that's how you'll know if you're doing it well. So just keep doing that. 1 double crochet in the first stitch, 1 double crochet in the second stitch, and then in the third stitch we're going to add 2 double crochets, which is an increase. So just keep doing this all the way across. And remember, if you're doing this correctly, you should always end with an increase in the last stitch. Now that we have finished this stitch, we're just going to slip stitch into the top of the very first stitch, and we're going to change colors for the next row. Now for this row we're going to use the gray. If you're not changing colors, you could just skip this part. So I found my center pole on my side pole. Let's just go ahead. So there are different ways to attach another color. It doesn't really matter, but how we're going to do it here is we're just going to continue like this was the color we were using before, and that means we'll just chain. First of all, attach the yarn, tighten the previous color, and then chain 2. Now that we have our chain 2, take the black out of the way, take the new color with you, and we're going to continue. Now we're on row 5. For row 5 we need to have 50 stitches in total. So that means for row 4 we did 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet increase, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet increase. So for this one, the double crochet, we'll do 3 double crochets before an increase. So that means 1 double crochet here. Hold your new color with you so that you can stitch it in. Another double crochet, and a third double crochet before our increase. So inside here we're going to put 2 double crochets, and if you look down, the stitch under was also an increase stitch, so we're on the right track. Now we'll do the same thing, 3 double crochets increase. If you look at it, see 1 2 3 increase. We'll do the same thing. one. Oh sorry, I need to hold my new color along with me. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now an increase. So just keep doing this all around. 3 double crochets, then an increase, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So now we're currently at the end of our row, and we're just going to slip stitch to the top of the first row. I hope you can see the rows better now that we're working with a lighter color. So slip stitch, and that is our row 5. Now let's go on to row 6. So for row 6, if you can guess from the pattern, we're going to have 4 double crochets. Remember, in this one we had 3 double crochets before an increase, so we have 1, 2, 3, then an increase. But for row 6, we're going to have 4 double crochets, then an increase. So we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, don't put an increase here, and if you see the one below it is also an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, don't put an increase here, and that's how we keep doing it all the way around. So just keep doing that. Okay, now we're at the end of our row, and we're just going to slip stitch into the first stitch as always. Now we're going to make one more row before we change colors. So for this one, we're just going to chain to always start a row. And now since we're on row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're on row 7, and this is actually, we're going to stop increasing after row 7 so that our heart does not get too wide, but we may decide to increase again for row 8. We'll just see how it looks after we're done with row 7. So for row 7, for row 6 we did 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets before an increase. So for this one, we're going to do 5 double crochets before an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the next one should be an increase stitch. Yeah, if you look at it, then the same stitch. So we're on the right track. So this is an increase stitch. Now we'll do 5 again, then the next one will be an increase stitch. So just keep doing that until you get to the end of the round, and I'll meet you back here at the beginning. Now we're at the end of our 7th row. I'm just going to slip stitch into our last chain. Now this is what we're working with. Let's take a look at the other one. So for this one, I stopped increasing 2, 4, 6, 8. I think I stopped increasing on the 7th one. And if you look at the width, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is where I stopped increasing. This is very similar to this, although this one is still a bit wider because I chained 12 here, but for this I chained 10. So I actually like this width. It's not too wide, but it's still going to get a bit wider once we start making our regular rows, and that is what we're going to start doing. But I want to change my color to cream, so I'm going to do that first. And now we're going to put 1 double crochet into every stitch across. We're not making any increases. I'm just going to do 2 rows of the cream, so that I'll see how I like the color combo first, and then I'll know if I'm going to add 1 more row of cream or just switch to black again. So just keep going. If you want to change your color also, you could do it here. You can change your color any way you like. You could decide to do one color after another, or change your colors every 2 rows. So just keep going, and I'll meet you guys once I'm done with my second row. So I'm at the end of my 9th row. I already made 2 rows of my cream, and this is what we currently have. As you can see, it's already forming a curve. I'm trying to press it into a flat circle, but it won't go because it's already forming, which is a good thing. So this is going to be the width, and we're just going to keep going round and round and round. And then it's actually looking pretty small to me, maybe because I'm used to the width of this one. This is looking pretty small, so I'm not sure yet. I may have to loosen it and maybe add 1 more row of increase, but I'll let you guys know if I do that, so that you'll be able to modify yours too. But for now, I think it's okay, honestly. So I'll just keep going. But right now I actually want to change my color. So if you're not changing colors, if you're making just one color, just keep going around and around. When you get to the end of a row, you make a slip stitch, and then you chain 2 to start a new row, and then you just keep going around and around until you get your desired length. But for me, I'm going to be changing my colors every few rows. Like now I'm going back to black, so I'll keep doing this until I'll keep changing my colors whenever I like, and you know, doing regular double crochets into the rounds until I get to row 20. This is currently row 9. I'll do this up to row 20, then I'll come back to you guys for an update. And if I decide to loosen it, if I decide to frog this project, which means losing it, I would also come back to let you guys know and show you exactly where I'm losing it up to and how many more rows of increase I'm adding. But I don't think I'm going to loosen it. I think it's pretty good this way, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue up to row 20, and I'll meet you guys back here soon. So I'm back, and so far I have done, I know I said I was going to come back when I get to row 20, but I'm actually on row 22. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23. Oh, row 23. And so far I actually like how it's coming out. I ended up not loosening it and just continued with the size that we started this video with. So if we take a look at the previous slouchy beanie that I made, you can see that it's really wide here, and if I had like a full hair of braids, this would be fine, but with the hair that I currently have on, this is way too big, which is why I decided to keep this size or this width. Now since we're currently at 23, I actually really like the length of this one, and for this one we did like 28, and then you know, a row of single crochet. So that's what we're going to do. So I'll let you guys know when I get to row 28, and I'll come back for the single crochet. So we have come to the end of the beanie, and I'm just going to make a row of single crochet around, and this part is not compulsory actually. I just like to add a row of single crochet just so it's the cap doesn't lose its elasticity, because single crochet is not as stretchy as rows of double crochets. So I'm just going to do that now. If you do not know how to do a single crochet, just watch me. And to start this time, we're not going to chain 2, we're going to chain 1 for the single crochet, and then we're just going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, and then just pull through those 2, and then we'll just keep doing that around. So I'll keep doing this till I get to the end of this row, and I'll let you guys know what it looks like. And I hope you are also following along, and I hope that you have gotten this far too. And I also hope for the 3rd time that you genuinely like this tutorial and it actually helped you. And I'd love to see your beanie that you have made with this tutorial, so you can share a picture with me on Instagram, and I would post it on my story and give you a shout out. Just to support your effort, especially if you are a beginner or if you've never crocheted a beanie before. So just keep putting your single crochets in there, and we'll meet again at the end of the row. Okay, so now we are at the end of our single crochet row, and we're just going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet, not this one, this one. So in here, so just work your hook in there and slip stitch, and this is the final product. Now let's compare it with, let me adjust my camera, let's compare it with the one we did before. Look at how wide this one is, and then look at how slim this one is. I actually really like the length of this one because it can expand if I stretch it. I don't want to stretch it, but if I do, it would stretch, and it will come back to this width. This one can also still stretch, but this is its natural width, which is pretty wide for me. But I really like this length, and I also really like the color combo. This is actually one of my favorite color combos, the black and gray, but I feel like the touch of color here just does something really cool to this beanie. Anyway, to finish off, we just need to fasten off our yarn. Oh my god, why is it tangling? Okay, now it's time to fasten off, and we just, how I fasten off securely, I just chain one. Let's just make some slip stitches along the body of the beanie, just for extra security, because I don't want my beanie to unravel. Then once we do this, we'll now make another single crochet, cut the yarn, and then tighten, and then to just weave in the ends. I'm not really a fan of weaving in my ends, but I'm just going to do a bit, and that is all for this beanie. And that brings us to the end of our video. You still need to trim the insides and weave in your ends. I don't really like weaving in my ends. That was why when I was crocheting, I was carrying along the yarn. So I'm just going to trim most of them, but I'll do that off camera. And for this one, the one that is attached to our magic circle, I'm going to weave this one in because I do not want that magic circle unraveling. But that is basically it. If you made it to the end of this video, congratulations, you just made your very first slouchy beanie. Let's try this on. So this is what we're working with, and I actually really like this. It's not as wide as this one, but the thing with acrylic yarn, which is what I use, is that it's going to get wider over time, especially when I wash it. So I actually really like how it's firm. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you subscribe to this channel, and if you're going to subscribe, be sure to hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time I post. And you can also tell your friends about this channel in case they are interested in learning how to crochet. I'm going to be sharing a lot of different tutorials every week. And yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.